Welcome to Be More Super, the podcast.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
An action-packed podcast where we'll discuss all things entertainment.
You're the answer to Are We Alone in the Universe?
Conventions, prop collecting, cosplay, interviews, reviews, and so much more. The show starts with host Brian Gardner right now.
So on this week's episode of Be More Super, the podcast, we've got a great guest. You've seen her in Shadowhunters, Bad Blood, The Expanse, Defiance, Arrow, and so many other things. It's a wonderful Anna Hopkins. Anna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And just a quick check-in. Obviously, I ask all my guests, how has everything been for you over the last year? How have you coped and how have you got through this wonderful year of lockdown and restrictions?
Yeah, I mean, what to say? I think in the grand scheme of things, I have been very, very lucky, so I cannot complain at all. I've been in Toronto this whole time. We're still in lockdowns, trying to get a handle on some things. I got vaccinated yesterday, which is great. Yes. We're a little bit behind over here, but it's starting to ramp up. And yeah, just going on a lot of walks, just trying to get outside. The winter's done here, thank goodness. That was a long winter. It was very cold, and being in that, locked in was tough, but things are okay.
Awesome. Lots of walks with your lovely doggy, your little Jasper.
Jasper. My British doggy, sort of.
Yes, it's a corgi, isn't it? Is it a corgi?
He's a corgi, yeah.
He's quite big for a corgi.
He's huge. I don't know. I mean, there's two kinds of corgis. There's the Pembrokes and the Cardigans. He's a Cardigan, so they're bigger. They have tails. I think the Queen only had one kind of those. But I heard, is it true? Someone told me that you can bring corgis and also King Charles Cavaliers inside anywhere in England because they're royal.
I'm not sure. We can try it out. Who knows? I've never heard that. I have never heard that. And have you found that since you've had your jab, everyone always asks, which one did you get? It's like a little fashion statement. It's like, what did you get? Did you get Pfizer, Oxford, AstraZeneca? So. No,
that's actually true. Everyone was like, what'd you get? I got Pfizer. In Canada right now, we're not doing, we only have Moderna or Pfizer right now for anyone under 40. So yeah, I just didn't know what I was going to get, but very happy. I can't really move my arm right now, but other than that,
wow.
Feeling good.
See, I had the AstraZeneca. And now I'm 41, so I'm 42 in two days' time. Getting old. Thank you. And I had the AstraZeneca, and literally it hit me like a train. Literally 6 hours after, my temperature went up to 40, and I was in bed for 2 days. And I'm never sick, never. And I've got my second jab in a couple of weeks. But you know what? It's worth it. I get time to spend.
Quickly, is what I hear.
And I get time to spend in bed as well. So I've got kids, so I never really get any time to lay in bed. So it's a good excuse. So let's talk about your career, Anna, because you've done so much. So far. Why acting? Why have you decided to follow this path?
Oh, I mean, it's always been sort of part of my interest. Performing has always been part of my life. As a kid, I started in gymnastics. I loved the floor routines, which was dance. Then I got into dance, became a dancer for many years. Sort of started to get into theater in high school. And it was at the end of high school where actually a teacher of mine, her daughter and son were both actors at the time, and her son, Jacob Tierney, is now a director. He directs and writes Letterkenny, which I don't know if you know that show. That it's on Hulu in the States now. But anyways, so that teacher of mine called her kid's agent and said, you got to see this girl. At the time, I was playing the lead in Cabaret, which I think now, like, doing that in grade 7 must be so insane.
I at college did Cabaret, and I played Clifford Bradshaw.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing!
Yeah, so Clifford Bradshaw.
Very well.
And do you know what? I always had difficulty at the end when I had to say "Welcome, bienvenue, welcome, fremde étranger, stranger, glücklich schusve, und chose vis enchanté."
I mean, you sound great.
And you know what? I had difficulty with the pronunciations. It was bizarre, but Cabaret, what a fun musical to do.
Yeah,
it really
that
is.
was the first time I ever tried, being in a play. I was in grade 9, and
wow.
And I just remember feeling like I just became alive. Like, it was just really incredible. And so she invited her kid's agent to come see the show. And I got an agent that week who's still my agent today. I've got a couple other ones now that I've moved out of Montreal, but she's known me since I was 17. So that's, how it started. And I just continued to study acting and, take workshops in New York and in LA and try to just do as much as I could. It's just a natural place for me to be.
And did you ever have a backup plan in case acting didn't work out for you?
I like to say it's more of that I have a lot of interests, and I do develop those all the time. And so actually after high school, I did my degree in communication and cultural studies. I did a lot of writing, and I never really saw it as a backup plan, more like I'm developing aspects of myself. But yes, like, if this didn't work out, I would probably be doing something in communication. It's a similar sort of thing, writing, maybe journalism, something like that. But not like, okay, I'm going to be a doctor in case this doesn't work out. Talking about auditions as well. Can you remember your very first audition, or was that your first audition for Cabaret? Well, that was my first audition for sure, sort of in that, in that way. In fact, they had already cast the lead role for Cabaret, and so I was coming in to audition for something else, and our drama teacher, who I love, who totally changed my life, Mr. Flowen, he said, "You know what? We're going to split the lead role. One night, you get the other lead." And so that was, my first audition. But my first real audition was for, and I always think this is really funny because I now work with Stephen Strait on Expanse. But my first ever audition was for a movie called Sky High, which they were auditioning in Montreal at the time. And I was so nervous. I don't think I did a very good job. I didn't get the role. But years later, I worked with Stephen and realized he was, he got one of the lead roles in that movie. And I thought it was always very funny, the sort of the way that you end up, eventually to where you want to go.
Yeah. I mean, how do you deal? Because being an actor and going to all these auditions, rejection is the one thing that I always think must be heartbreaking. How do you deal with the rejection of going through all that work of doing an audition and you don't hear back, or do you hear back? I mean,
yeah, it's it's a lot. It's interesting. I'm now I'm getting more into writing as well for film and television, and I find rejection in that realm way worse than what I've experienced as an actor, because when you really learn about how people get cast, it has so little to do. It has a lot to do with you, and at the same time, so little to do with you. It's how you fit into a puzzle of the whole story. But yeah, it's heartbreaking, and you have to just look at auditioning like. One of the early managers that I worked with said it's like planting seeds, and you have to, make people remember you, and you might not get this role, but something down the line, and it totally works like that. It's really, really true. I mean, I've had casting directors cast me in something and said, I just remember this audition you did 8 years ago, and you've always impressed us, and it never worked out. And so if you give up because you didn't get that first role, you're kind of missing the point. It's a long process of, basically growing a garden, essentially. So, but it still sucks sometimes.
And have you ever been offered a role and you've turned it down, and then later thought, damn it, I should have taken it?
No, I've been very close to, between two people, and didn't get it, and seen the project after, and damn it. But no, I haven't yet experienced, and that really scares me. Those stories of like, oh my God, I was almost Indiana Jones, but I turned it down. Like, please let that never happen to me.
Bless you. Yeah. And, talking about your characters, because your characters that we've seen on screen so far are quite diverse, and it's just excellent, the substance to your characters, because, you play quite different people, from The Expanse to Shadowhunters to Bad Blood. What's your method in preparing for a character when you get that part? I mean, what's the first thing that you start on?
I think for every role, it's really different. There's always these sort of, you're kind of playing a detective in a sense. You're trying to figure out this person, and each project offers you something sort of, special in terms of those clues. So, for The Expanse, you've got the books, you've got that material. So it's like, okay, well, let me first have a look at this, and then I'll kind of pull back from there. Shadowhunters, similarly, there were books, but also the character of Lilith is, she's found in mythology, throughout history. So that was a really nice place to start. Bad Blood, started a lot with figuring out where she was from specifically, and working with a dialect coach with her accent. And so there are all these different entry points, I'd say. And then just kind of creatively working from there. Like, it's like making a painting, figuring out what they're wearing and how they move. And music's always a big part of it for me. I always have a little playlist of kind of getting into what that person feels like. So yeah, it's always a little bit different, but I always see it sort of like putting together a collage or a painting or something like that.
So you mentioned Bad Blood. That for me, I think, is one of the best shows that I've ever seen. And I was lucky enough to have Kim Coates on the show last year, just before lockdown. And it's such a stellar performance from yourself and him and the rest of the cast. Season 1 was based on the actions of the Canadian mafia boss, Vito Rizzuto. Were you aware, when you joined the show in season 2, were you aware of that story, from where you're from?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from Montreal, so, there is a very big presence. I'd say, it's kind of maybe getting a little bit smaller, but there's always been a very big presence of organized crime in the city. And Vito Rizzuto is, quite an iconic character in the very violent history that Montreal has. So yeah, I certainly knew about it. And it's weird because when you're doing it, you're kind of like, are these people also watching our show? Like, it's not that they're not around still. They're around.
Yeah.
So you want to be. It was a strange experience in that way.
Did you watch season 1 before joining? I mean, what did you think of the show before you joined yourself?
Yeah, I watched season 1. In fact, I had watched it like earlier, just as a viewer. I was interested in it as a Montrealer, and I just thought it was really great. I think, just in terms of like the gangster genre, we often see, New York, but Montreal is so connected to New York, and all these families are very related. So it was nice to see, Montreal as itself. But in terms of research, it was, they told me that the 2 seasons were really not related necessarily. So we were diving into a completely new world after that.
Yeah, of course, because season 2, if I'm right in saying, it's 5 years after. So it's great because they can go in whichever direction they want to go in. And you play a wonderful character. You play Teresa Langana, which is a no-nonsense character. I mean, what was it like playing her? Because she comes across scary as hell. You wouldn't want to mess and be on the wrong side. What was it like playing a character like that? Because I presume you're not like that in real life. So,
I'm exactly like that. No, I'm not like that at all. It was amazing. I mean, there's something really. I mean, there's just a lot of power in the way that they wrote her. The way that she interacts with, mostly men in this world. It's a notoriously male-driven enterprise, organized crime. So it was an interesting. It was just a very interesting world to get into, and just got to really. I think when you're in your real life, especially if you are not a bad person, it's especially like, it's just fun just being the bad guy, and there's actually a lot of joy in it. It's a weird feeling. But I'm sure most actors who play villains, like it's the juiciest stuff. Especially because they're usually driven by something pretty deeply emotional, which is always really nice to play with. And for her, it's a lot about her dad, not wanting to let him down. And so, it was a treat. And then I got to, work across Kim Coates. I was pretty scared to do that. Playing someone's daughter is one thing, but if I have to sort of stand up to him and kind of shoot him down in scenes, that was really scary. But he was so great, and we ended up, really, really getting along, and he made me feel really comfortable. So that was good.
He is such an intense person to meet in person as well. And but he's got a heart of gold, and but he plays such a great character in that show. And your character's accent, I think, is wonderful. And you did an amazing job. I mean, how difficult is it to not only deliver a stellar performance, but also to keep your accent in check? I mean, did you have someone on set with you, or was it a case of a lot of research and coaching?
I didn't have anyone on set. We had someone one day. So we had a coach who I worked with before shooting. And so we would, every time a new script would come out, we would work the text together. And I also found a woman. My brother used to live in Berlin, and I was just looking for somebody who could have a similar accent than what I was trying for. And he had a friend, this Italian woman, and so I got in touch with her and I asked her, could I? This might be a weird job, but could I hire you to record my lines for me? And she did. So I had, her. I had this dialect coach, and then it was just a matter of, just getting it in your head like a song almost. And once that was done, it was actually really, there was a lot of freedom on set. I wasn't that worried about it. I also speak French. I can speak, a little bit of Italian. So it was all sort of there. It just took a lot of practice. Just so that it was like in my bones before I actually, went there.
And are you one of these type of characters that stay in character when the cameras stop rolling? Are you a bit of a diva on set? or do you like stop and
Don't talk to me. No, not at all. I think it's very fun to go in and out. I think once you get to a place where you can go in and out, that means that it's really in your bones. Now, again, if you do have to stay in character, that doesn't mean that it isn't in your bones either. That's just, a preference. But I did find myself kind of like subtly staying in the accent sometimes just because, it's already there. It's in your head. So, but no, I wasn't like a cold-blooded killer between takes.
Good. That is good to hear. And I've got to say, the internet and the World Wide Web, I think it's all awesome, but there's some crazy stuff on there. I don't know if you ever Google yourself or look on YouTube, but there's a video of you smoking within Bad Blood, and it's been viewed over 27,000 times. No! And it's just it's a segments of you smoking in character, and it's 27,000 times. But thing is, you do it in such an artistic way. It's awesome. It's like literally, it's just a great video. You'll have to put your name into YouTube.
What is it? So it's just like Teresa smoking in Bad Blood?
Yeah. If you put that in, literally you'll see it. Someone's taken the time to cut all the scenes that you were smoking and turned it into like an art piece. It's great.
Well, I really did think a lot about the way she smoked. So I'm glad that somebody recognized that. That's funny.
You did it with attitude and confidence and I suppose used it from what I saw as dominance. I don't know. It just you sort of came across like whichever scene you were in, you were like the top dog. You wanted to be the alpha, which was really, really good.
Awesome. Well, thank you. It's really nice to hear that.
And we go on to The Expanse, which I think is an awesome show. And again, I've been lucky enough to have Thomas Jane and Wes Chatham on the show as well. And it was quite funny because when I was interviewing Wes, he was filming season 6, and I got told I wasn't allowed to talk about it, mention it, or even talk about it. And that was half of my questions gone. And then the day after, they announced that they were filming it. But what an awesome show. I mean, it's going to be the final season 6. The fans really are behind it. And it's so well written and so well made. Everything's thought about, in space, from gravity to the little bits, which I think's awesome. I mean, what was it like for you? Because you joined in season 3 to join such an established cast that were well loved by all the fans. I mean, was that quite daunting for you?
It was. I had a little bit of experience with that actually around that time. I had also just started on Shadowhunters, and Shadowhunters has such a strong fan base online. So I sort of just did that probably about 2 months before I came onto The Expanse. So I had, I was able to get my nerves a little bit in check. And yeah, the cast was immediately very warm. The director who cast me at the time was, he was also, he spoke to me a lot about having been a documentarian. So he was really interested in the character. And Stephen was my first scene of the whole show. And it was the scene where I'm kind of like, hammering him to give me the story. And, Frank was on set at the time, and everyone said they were just really happy with that first day. And after that, I felt okay. But it was scary. It's always a little bit scary.
I mean, it definitely looks, following the social media, that the cast have so much fun. I mean, what was your favourite scene to film?
I think one of them was that first scene. I thought was really fun to have that dynamic with Steven. And then I really loved working on the shipping container sequence in season 5, just because it was so complicated to do. And I really got to have a better understanding of like how to shoot something like this. And getting that right was really, really satisfying. And we had such little time to do it that I was really pleased that Breck was happy and everyone was happy. And so, yeah, and I was really pleased at how it turned out too. It looked pretty awesome. So I'd say that.
And with season 6 wrapping very, very soon, will we be seeing any more of Monica?
Oh, I can't tell you anything about that.
Oh, she's not dead. She's not dead. She's not dead.
She's not dead. That I can definitely tell you that. And
yeah,
you know, she's usually up to something, but I can't really say anything about it.
Thing is, everything that happened in season 5, all I'm saying from a fan's point of view, it'd be crazy for you to not be in the final season. So I'm really looking forward to it because your character arc has been wonderful from season 3 to season 5.
Yeah,
you know, you started off not really liking the person. She was quite gun ho and she didn't care. She just wanted that story. To now actually helping and trying to get to the bottom of things, which I think is awesome.
Yeah,
really,
they did
good.
A really good job with developing her and you know, giving her that nice arc that actually journalists a lot of the times experience. You know, you go in doing that local special interest story, or you're working for TMZ or whatever it is, but you want to do the bigger stuff, and so yeah, it was a really nice thing to see in season 5.
And then we move on to how glamorous your job is. Because, you know, we see these red carpets, we see these premieres. I mean, how glamorous is your job?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, there's no glamour. There's no glamour in the actual job. There are two completely different universes. What you do to get the work together and the film together or TV, and then what it looks like after. Oh, no, you're usually freezing your butt off or sweating your butt off, or, you know, waking up at 3 a.m, working 15 to 18 hour days, you know, trying to eat a bagel between hanging off of a, you know, scaffolding and getting your coffee and memorizing all night. And it's incredibly fun, but I wouldn't say glamorous. No.
So this is why when you see celebrities on red carpets, they look very happy because they're not hanging from scaffolding. Yeah. Eating.
They're just like, now I get to reap all the benefits of usually free food and booze at these events, and it's great. Awesome.
So we go on to like your fans, because your fan base is enormous. Your Instagram touching on 200,000 followers. What's the best thing about having a social media presence, and what's the worst thing?
I think the best thing is, the thing that's kind of touched me is a lot of the Shadowhunters fans they're younger women. And so it's, you know, it's always nice to connect to younger demographics, and just, you know, it's kind of such a cliche to talk about, but there's a lot of pressure out there for young people in general. And I like to try and stay as real as possible on Instagram, and you know, for every red carpet photo, have like 50 other not that, and, you know, connect with young people in a real way. So that's always been really nice. And the bad stuff, well, I mean, how much time do you have? It's you know, I try very hard to not spend too much time. I think it's just such a time suck. And as a creative person, to try and do anything requires big chunks of time to let your imagination sort of do its thing. And when you're constantly using your brain to kind of absorb, it's really destructive. So it's just the time suck, the comparing yourself to others that's baked into it. It's tricky. So, keeping it a little far away from me is an important thing for sure.
And just to confirm, it's you that actually runs your social media. You're not doing an Ed Sheeran and getting a team of people.
No, it's totally me. I mean, I've always considered like, oh man, it would take off a lot of responsibility and time if you could just hire somebody. But then it just wouldn't, at least for me, because of the young people that I do kind of engage with, I know that they appreciate that it's just me. So I keep it like that. I keep it like that for now. But I respect people who hire other people because it's another job in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I've interviewed quite a few guests that aren't on social media. Yeah. So that must be such a quiet life because they look at it as, their job, and when they finish, they go home. And then obviously the fans can appreciate the work, which I can understand as well. Which you've got a right. I mean, do you ever feel like you want to just shut off and just get away from social media and put your feet up, have Jasper on your lap, and just shut out the world with a nice glass of vino? Do you ever do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've thought about that a lot. And I think I've found a happy medium where I don't go on it too often. And I find those times where it's important to share so I can engage, but yeah, shutting it off, like even just the phone in general, emails, texts, that in itself is just a lot, and also takes up a lot of time. So I find myself like in the evening just turning the whole thing off. I'll check it tomorrow. Definitely having a glass of wine. That's and awesome. Just enjoying that.
A good glass of wine solves everything, and correct. Apparently it helps with the AstraZeneca jab. That's really? In all the news, having a glass of wine afterwards. So my wife thought my wife thought I was lying because she thought I was trying to get a bottle of wine. So when I interview my guests, I do my research and I look on IMDb, as the majority of people do, and I always look under the trivia part, and I always see that many actors out there, they haven't got many stuff under their trivia part. So I want to be able to add some. So okay. We do a segment in the show where I ask random questions, and let's see if anyone wants to add anything to your IMDb account. But before I do, I wanted to ask something that's on there. Channing Tatum, Jamie Foxx, and your telephone number. I mean, what on earth is that about?
That was really funny. One of the first jobs that I got right out when I came to Toronto, so it was about 10 years ago, was I was hired to be an off-camera reader for a movie called White House Down, starring Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx. It's a big sort of, heist, kidnapping, ransom White House movie. So a lot of the scenes, these actors were on walkie-talkies or they're on cell phones. So they needed an actor behind the scenes reading with them. So I did that for the whole film. It was actually amazing. I got to see, how things really went down, and, watching great actors work and stuff. But yeah, at one point there was this scene where they needed to create like a code, I believe, or it was a code for a door. And Roland Emmerich is the director, and he was just like, to me, he was like, just make up, give them a number to do. So I gave them, the first thing that came to mind was like the first 5 numbers of my phone number. And then a couple of days later, it happened again. And Roland was like, can you give them the rest or any number? And I just chose the rest of my number. So now in the film, now this isn't my phone number anymore because I moved.
I was going to say.
Yeah, now in the film, if you put those two codes together, it was my phone number at the time, and I always thought that was pretty funny.
How cool is that, though? You got your telephone number in a movie with Channing Tatum.
I was just like, Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx are basically saying my phone number in this movie. This is great.
That is awesome. So let's go on the random questions then. Let's see what answers we get. So I guess the next one. Your favourite drink, Anna?
Wine.
Brilliant. Red or white?
I would say a light red is really my thing.
Excellent, excellent. And if you had one wish, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. That all of my loved ones are happy and healthy for the rest of their lives, including myself.
Excellent, excellent. Good answer. Right, what makes you angry?
Seeing people be cruel to each other, or like seeing cruelty makes me really angry. Like I saw this guy yesterday screaming. I guess like someone cut him off and was just screaming at this like elderly man, and I was angry all day. So yeah, that.
Yeah, that's not nice. And what makes you happy? Wine.
Good wine, being with my dog, being with my boyfriend, watching like something like Top Chef, eating food in bed, like having a platter, a feast, just major relax, happy times is what makes me really happy.
If you want a good show to watch, me and my wife has just discovered a show called Below Deck. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I've heard of this. Someone else told me I would like it. Yeah, I'm going to look into that.
It is so addictive, and it's so easy watching as well. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. And the last random question, what's your party trick?
Oh, my party trick. Maybe like this thing.
Oh. Ready?
Yes.
See, you know what? I do that to my girls, and they're sort of fascinated because I've got a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, and then at work,
this is like what my dad used to do to me, and I thought it was like the coolest thing ever.
But I found that if I do it at work to any like kids that are around, not like random kids, I don't go round to random kids and just do it. But it either goes two ways. Either they laugh and think it's funny, or they run away crying because they think I've really taken my thumb off. And before we wrap up this wonderful interview, Anna, I just wanted to ask, have you kept anything from any of your shows? Because to be honest, you've done a lot. I mean, have you sneaked anything past security? Any costume pieces? Any props?
I'm trying to think here. I bought a lot of Teresa's wardrobe. Yeah, oftentimes they do like big. If you want to get a lot, they'll do like a big sale for the cast and crew. So you'll get like 50 to 80% off, and her clothes were really expensive stuff. So I bought like so much of her stuff. Do I have anything else? I don't think so. I mean, I have my Teen Choice surfboard in my closet.
I saw that on your Instagram. It's what? You got it in your closet? You should have it on your mantelpiece.
That area. Yeah, I know. I need to figure out where to put it or actually use it as a surfboard.
That is sort of gloating as well. If you went to the beach and you've got this Teen Awards 2018, go and look at this, guys. That is awesome. So people can follow you on Instagram, AnnaBanana_hops. I presume that's the same for your Twitter as well. What is next? What is next for you? What are you doing at the moment, or can you not say?
I have a bunch of stuff that is in the can, as one says. What can I share? I can't share any of it, actually. I'm not supposed to say anything, but I do have some really fun stuff coming out. So I'll be sure to share that on social media when it comes out.
That is awesome. And the most frustrating thing is that quite a few of your shows we don't get in the UK. So all my viewers and listeners in the States, you've got For the Record that apparently is doing very, very well. Is that broadcasted across the States and Canada, or is it just Canada?
I believe right now it's just Canada on CBC Gem, but we did premiere at South by Southwest, and I know that they've gotten a distribution deal, so it will be in the States and hopefully in the UK as well at some point, but not right now.
Okay. That's awesome, and I look forward to watching it because I've been reading the reviews and watching the interviews, and it looks an awesome show. Anna, you've been a great guest. Thank you so much. Look after yourself, keep safe, and thank you for coming on to the show.
You as well. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
You've been listening to Be More Super, the podcast.
It was kind of a crazy, fun experience.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Listen, my whole family loves it, man.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button and share with your super friends.
My world.